Welcome back, everybody, to the Little Less Fear podcast. Today, I would love to welcome Lisa Woodruff, is the founder of Organize 365, a multi-million-dollar company she built after making the bold transition from stay-at-home mom to entrepreneur at 40. For over a decade, she's been helping people create systems that bring more ease, structure, and clarity into their homes and lives. She's also the author of the upcoming book, Escaping Quicksand, where she shares her personal journey of learning to prioritize herself while raising a family and building a business, shifting her mindset, habits, and ultimately her entire life. Lisa, I'm really excited to have this conversation, especially because of what you're speaking about, prioritizing yourself. I believe this hits deep for many people. What does that mean? What does that mean for you? Let's rock and roll.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. And I'm super excited about this conversation because you really understand what it means to prioritize yourself. And so many times when I start to talk about, like what is self-care and how do we prioritize ourselves, especially women think about, no, I can't do that. That's too selfish. And so I'm really excited to really deep dive into what does it mean to prioritize yourself for your own health and wellness so that you can support others.
Something you just said right now that really, and thank you so much for that. Something that you just said right now that just kind of just gave me a light bulb here is that a lot of people tell you, I can't do that. I can't prioritize myself
hmm
because it's selfish.
hmm
Can we
Yeah.
talk a little bit about
So
that?
I'm getting my PhD. I'm almost done. I was in a
Congratulations.
development. Thank you. I'm so excited. So I was in a development class, and my undergrad is in early childhood development. So I've studied, Piaget and all the childhood development. And I'm 54. My professor is probably in her late 30s. And
Oh
I
God.
said, and I was like, so where is menopause in the development scale? And she's like, it's not a stage of development. I'm like, pretty sure it's the inverse of puberty. So it's got to be like a development. No, turns out it's not. In psychology, it's not a developmental stage. There are only two psychologists that have ever studied adult developmental stages, and they were both men in their 50s, so they didn't include it. And I was like, okay, so I kind of zoned out. I'm just gonna not lie. I zoned out because I was like, okay, this isn't really relevant to my life, and I'm still swirling from the fact that science doesn't think that menopause is a phase of life that we go through, a developmental phase of life that women go through. And I got this picture of the St. Louis Arch in my head. And I saw little kids at the bottom of one end of the arch and older people at the bottom of the other end of the arch. And I was like, huh, childcare, elder care. I went to school for childcare in my undergrad. And now, caring for our parents and grandparents, I'm thinking a lot about elder care and how often women are older and on their own and they have a lot of care needs and they need support of the community and everyone else. And there are these care needs. And then I pictured the whole entire arch and I thought, huh, that's self-care. Self care is from 18 to 88 when you are in charge of your own care. Your parents aren't caring for you, or somebody else isn't caring for you. You are caring for yourself. And I was like, wow, if self care is us caring for ourselves before we need somebody else to step in and care for us, that's way more than a spa day or a bubble bath. What is
Right.
that? And
Right.
that's what I really started to press into. What is self care? At first, I didn't want to press into it because I was like, that's selfish. I'm thinking about me. I shouldn't be thinking about me. I should be thinking about everybody else. Why do we feel that way? Why do we think that?
So, Lisa, you also went through that yourself?
Well, I mean, I prioritized my kids when I was a stay-at-home mom. I prioritized the household when I started the company. But when I went to get my PhD, I kind of just said to all of the adults now in my family, I'm getting a PhD. And my husband's like, why? I was like, because I want to. He's like, well, you're not going to earn any more money. I said, no, as a matter of fact, it's going to cost me money. He said, what are you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to pay for my own research and try to get it published. He's like, why? I said, because I want to. And I was like, when when are we, especially as women, when we are adults, able to just do things because we want to? Now I realize a PhD is a big lift. But a lot of people, if you said you wanted to run a marathon, people are like, that's great. What's your training plan? When you say you want to
Right.
get a PhD, they say, you're crazy. I'm like, probably, but I'm going to find out because I'm going to learn about it.
Right.
So, why can't we as adults, so I broadened the definition of self care. And this is what I found in getting my PhD. Did you know there is no definition of housework?
No, I didn't know that.
There is no academic definition of housework. There are two studies that say there's no operational definition of housework and thousands of studies that compare housework, but no definition of housework. So that's why I did my research practicum on. I defined housework. And the American population from 18 to 88 decided that it was only three things: everything related to laundry, cooking, and cleaning. Other than that, it's not housework.
So if it's not laundry, cooking, or cleaning, what is it?
Well, household management, childcare, property ownership, all kinds of things. But academic studies have called that all housework. And so I had that floating in my head. I had this floating in my head. And I was like, okay, well, if self care isn't selfish and self care isn't pampering, what is self care? We have not defined it as a society. So I defined it. So I decided that self care is the support of an adult's emotional, educational, spiritual, educational, relational needs, in addition to life sustaining care, including feeding, bathing, clothing, and medical care. That is self care. That's what we provide children.
Wow.
That's what we provide our elders. It's not just a place to stay and clothes and food, it is the support of the whole human being for their life, for their enjoyment, for their fulfillment, for their potential. That is what we're supposed to be doing for ourselves.
Absolutely love this, Lisa. The support of the whole human being
Yes.
because it's a system.
Yes. And here's what happens when you don't do that. When you, as an adult over the age of 18, don't care for your educational, spiritual, nutritional needs, then you become depleted. And then you're called on to care for others and you can't because you're caring for them out of lack. But if you provide your own self-care, then you are able to care for others because you have cared for yourself. Now, yes, you're going to put your care over on the back burner because somebody else's care needs are more urgent than yours right now. But if you're always putting yourself on the back burner, then you don't have enough to give when you're called on to give. You become part of the problem instead of part of the solution.
Wow. Don't put yourself, I'm writing this down, on the
Okay.
back burner because then you become part of the problem and not part of the solution.
Yeah.
So how does okay, I'm feeling there are a lot of people that
Hmm.
I'm still writing this down as we talk about
That's
it.
fine. That's good. It's encoding in your brain more.
It really is. There are a lot of people that can hear this but still won't feel it. And
Yeah.
it's like they're stuck in this pattern of people pleasing.
Yep.
And as you're saying, when you're if you're people pleasing, I mean you didn't literally say these words, but what I'm feeling based on this definition that you give, if you're people pleasing, you're putting yourself on the back burner. But people are a lot of people, especially people that are on the go, 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 go. They don't give themselves the opportunity to slow down and take a deep breath. And in doing and in not slowing down to take a deep breath or just slowing down in general and just start prioritizing their own needs, it starts to become a destruction ultimately.
Yes, and I think, just observationally and talking with my friends, this is not scientific study right now. What I observed and experienced personally was until the age of 40, you just keep going. And you're like, okay, I've got to do this. I've got to check this off the box. This would make me a good person. This would make me a good child. This would make me a good parent. This would make me a good employee. This is what I see other people doing. I'm just going to try harder, do more, stay up more. And you go until you get to about that age of 40. Sometimes it's a little before, a little bit after. But around that 40th birthday, you finally go, to what end? To what end am I doing this? Like, I hope to live to be 100. I'm like, I'm not living 60 more years this way. Like, when I was about to turn 40, I had three outfits in my closet that fit me. I was eating leftover chicken nuggets and french fries. Like, I wasn't giving myself the proper nutrition. I wasn't giving myself the proper sleep. I wasn't doing anything for myself. I was giving to everyone around me and I was failing in every single thing I was doing. The only thing I was doing well was teaching. At least I thought I was doing teaching well. And then my administrator called me into her office for a meeting and she told me I wasn't a very good teacher. Now, whether I was or wasn't a good teacher really isn't the point. At the age of 39, if my administrator didn't think I was a good teacher, why was I giving all of my energy and attention to that job when I definitely was not a good wife, was not a good mother, was not a good household person, was not taking good care of myself? Like, why was I giving all my energy to that if it wasn't even being appreciated for what I was doing? And I don't know, I was very negative at that time. I was very reactive. I was very overweight, very depressed. Like I still think I was a good teacher, but maybe I wasn't meeting her expectations of what a teacher is.
Or just as I'm feeling into this, I just feel that a lot of people tell us things to bring to our attention for self-growth. So maybe she needed to tell
Mm,
you that to push you towards,
Right.
ultimately where you are now.
Yes, I definitely would not have quit teaching. If she said, "Hey, let's work on these things," or if she said it any other way, I would have like doubled down. But the way she said it, I was like, "I'm out."
So then you quit teaching, and what happened after
Yeah.
that?
So I quit teaching. It was a Thursday night. I came home. I said to my husband, I'm going to quit teaching. He's like, whatever. He's like, watching Thursday night football. I was like, no, I'm really doing it. So I type up the letter. I give it to him and I said, read this because I'm quitting my job. And he's like, sounds good. So the next day I come home from work. I'm like, I did it. I quit my job. He goes, well, you better do a direct sales thing. You're pretty good at that because I've been in like a gajillion direct sales companies. And I did start another direct sales company. Actually, I was in five. But I also realized that, I am a fourth generation female college graduate, and all of those women started their own businesses. My mom started a business in our basement in second when I was in second grade and sold it when I was in eighth grade. Like entrepreneurship is in the female lineage of my family. And I kind of knew it was time to start my business, but I had no idea what it was going to be. And I knew it was going to be unique. Like I had a feeling it was going to have employees and it was going to have intellectual property and I was going to create something that hadn't existed before. So how do you know how to get started on something like that? But I
Yeah.
knew about SEO and keywords. So I named the company Organize 365 and started a blog and just went from there. I knew
Went
it
from
would
there.
be organization related. That's all I knew.
And when you started the blog, what were you blogging about?
I was blogging about organizing my house because my house was a dumpster fire because I'd been teaching and doing all these other things and giving everybody else all of my time, talent, and treasure that it literally looked like we lived in a pigsty. Like my kids were in middle school and we still had sippy cups in the kitchen. Like it had been so long since I'd really taken care of my house the way I wanted to that I just started blogging about taking back my house and regaining my life as not a stay-at-home mom, but where my kids were the priority and I had flexibility for my kids, but then I had to figure out what was my new thing going to be? Like what was I uniquely gifted and created to do? That's what I was trying to figure out.
So it was within this energy of what are you gifted with, what are you going to create, and blogging
Mhm.
that you started to flourish into who you are now with your incredible multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah, so it happened kind of quickly. Within a couple of months, I was doing those direct sales parties, and there were so many people there. I don't know if you've ever been to a Tupperware party, but not a lot of people come.
I
And there
have.
were there were 25 people at this party. I was like, so I said to my friend, "Hey, Maria, why are all these people here?" And she said, "Well, everyone wants to know what a professional organizer has to say." I said, "I'm a professional organizer." She goes, "Of course." I didn't know that. I didn't know what that was. So I started organizing people's homes. And that was great because it was a service job and I loved doing it, grew a team. But quickly I realized that people were getting organized because I was teaching them how to get organized and they would cancel my services and finish on their own. I was like, that's it. That's the unique thing. I'm a teacher who is organized and I could teach you the skill. So that's when I started the podcast 11 years ago. And I was like, okay, I'm going to teach this skill through a podcast. So you're not looking at my kitchen and thinking, oh, I wish I had a bigger kitchen or I wish I had those counters or thinking those thoughts. You'd be hearing me as a teacher or a coach in your ear while looking at your own space and then getting it organized that way.
That's really incredible. I mean, it's fascinating the way it all just blossomed. And that's
Yeah, and then it goes on from there. I think that so the mission of Organize 365 is to help you get organized so you have more time and then wrestle with what you're uniquely gifted and created to do. As you keep pressing into your uniqueness, like
Mhm.
with you, with the poems and matching your clients with their colors, and like you have such uniqueness in how you do your podcast. And
Thank
the
you.
more you do it, the more that uniqueness is going to show through. So
Mhm.
after I started the podcast, then I realized, we don't have any school supplies in our households. Like we need some products. So I patented, manufactured, designed products. And now we have a warehouse and we sell products. Then I was like, okay, now that I'm a business owner with a multi-million-dollar business, I do quarterly planning. I do all these things in business that I never do at home. But our households are 68% of US GDP. So they're obviously a business. Why don't we take some of these business principles like quarterly planning and apply it in our household instead of like running around like chickens with our head cut off in a to-do list we're never going to get done. Like let's do monthly planning, let's do weekly planning, let's do trimester planning and set and achieve goals in home because that's where we're always going to be. Like and on and on and on. Like as you experience more, taking that learning back into whatever you're uniquely gifted and created to do and expounding on that.
And that is the same thing that you've been teaching your clients, correct?
Yes. So I help people get organized and then treat their household like a business. In a business, there's certain kind of work where you go, okay, I could do that, but that's not profitable work. You
Hmm.
start to equate money with the work you're doing. You also start to say, like, okay, well, that's good enough and we can ship it. We don't need to make every single thing perfect or we're going to go out of business. When you
Hmm.
start thinking that way in your household, you're like, oh, okay, I need to prioritize my energy. I need to prioritize our goals. We can't do everything all the time. Some things have to be put on the back burner for later, and these other things are going to take priority.
Okay, I'm glad you're bringing that up. I would love to circle back to. I would love to come back and circle back to getting organized, showing your uniqueness. And right now, you just ending with what my next thought was, going back to prioritizing yourself, prioritizing your goal.
Yeah.
So, in speaking about prioritizing yourself and
Hmm.
and the whole human, as you mentioned in the beginning, how does one begin to prioritize themselves if they have no idea where to start and they're burnt out?
Yes. Okay. So, first, the caveat. If you have kids that are like under the age of 10, it's really hard to carve out time for yourself because these humans are literally depending on you for everything. And so parents go through a season where they have to prioritize children over themselves, and there's very little time left for them. So if you can prioritize time, that's great. I was not really able to. So if you're in that season, I see you. And if you find space, great. If not, just know your time is coming in the future. For the rest of us, which is most of us actually, how do you prioritize yourself? It's very uncomfortable for yourself personally and definitely for your family because they've gotten really used to you not prioritizing you.
Right.
And so, like, wait, what? You have needs? No, you're just mom. You're just wife. You're just whoever. Like, you're the one that's supposed to do all this work around here. I don't want to do all this work. So, I'll give you a funny example and then I'll give you a practical example.
Sounds
So,
good.
the funny example was I told you when I was 40, like, I was fat and I was depressed. I didn't have a lot of clothes of it because I was eating fast food all the time because I was in the car 25 hours a week and I didn't have any time to make meals. Also, I'm a terrible cook. So, anyway, the kids were now, I'd already started the company. The company was starting to grow. Now the kids were in high school. I'm driving them to two different schools and I'm driving to my professional organizing jobs. And I'm buying food at the grocery store that we're not eating because I'm always getting fast food for myself and my kids. So I come home from work. I said to my husband, I said, I don't go to the grocery store anymore. And he was like, how is food going to get in the house? I said, well, you have a credit card, you have a car, and you know where the grocery store is. And he was like, you're not going. And I haven't. Like, it's been a decade. I don't go to the grocery store. As a matter of fact, he tried to take me once. It was hilarious. I bought a plant. I was wandering over in some aisle. He was like, you can't handle it. I was like, he can't. I cannot handle a grocery store. I just can't handle a grocery store. And now I order my food online and I have a nice nutrition plan. I've lost a lot of weight. But at that time, there were so many things on my I should do list. And definitely as the household manager and the mom, going to the grocery store is probably one of those things. But I just abdicated the whole entire thing. Like I didn't say, could we like share the meal planning or you do one day, I do that. I was like, I just don't shop, which meant I don't meal plan. I don't cook. I don't clean out the refrigerator. I don't do any, like, I just dropped it like a hot potato. So I don't know if you should recommend that or not, but that is one option. Like, if there's something like you just dread doing and it's kind of optional, just tell your partner or just tell yourself you're not going to do it.
That's a
Another
great way
way,
to prioritize yourself because when I hear
yeah,
prioritize yourself for self-care, I think of other things like the spa and stuff like that. But
yeah,
these options
pampering.
of the things that you truly, truly want to do or enjoy doing or really don't enjoy doing, like just don't do it.
Yeah, so along the same lines, maybe a more gentle way to do this or a more humane way to do it than how I did it to my husband would be what I counsel people to do now. Like they're like, I don't even know how to put myself on the list. Okay, so thinking back to when I was in my 40s, I prioritize my kids' nutrition. Like we have grandchildren living in our house. I would never take the 4 month old baby and be like, sorry, I'm not buying formula. You're just going to have cow's milk. No, obviously you have to buy the formula for the baby. And our grandson is allergic to eggs. So I wouldn't be like, sorry, you're just going to have an EpiPen every day because I'm making eggs today and you're going to have eggs. Like I prioritize their nutrition needs based on their needs. So why don't we do that as women? Especially in your 40s and 50s, ladies. It's not like we can eat the same food at 50 that we can eat at 40. Like you literally can't. I'll get a migraine, I'll get a hot flash, and you don't want that. So, like, I have to really look at what I eat, how much protein, how many carbs, when I have alcohol, if I have alcohol, how much sugar content, because it's not worth it to be up in the middle of the night and have the hot flashes and all that. And so my husband will say, "Why aren't you eating everything we're eating?" And I'm like, because I'm a different human. Like, just because I'm not a baby that needs formula or someone who has an allergy where I would need to go to the hospital if I ate it, doesn't mean my nutritional needs aren't different than every single other member in the family.
Mhm.
And so I don't take it to the extreme, but why aren't we feeding ourselves with the nutrition we need for the phase of life we're in, especially if you're going through different hormonal changes? That to me seems not only self-care, but like essential. But we as women don't think that. We're like, oh, I won't prioritize it. I'll just eat the leftovers off the kids' plate. I'll just eat something cheap here. I'll just go without. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
it is. It really is. And it's common. I mean, it's so I hear it every day. I hear it all the
So
time.
common.
I
So
really love
common.
that you're bringing this up, Lisa, because not I've honestly I've never had anyone on my episode talk about eating right, eating well for your stage in life. I mean, how that's incredibly important because everything is, I mean, your hormones are not what they were, as you said, even just 10 years ago. And so you have to feed and give your body the proper nutrition for this particular stage of life. Everybody's stage of
And we're going to live longer. Women live longer than men in worse health than men.
life.
That is statistically proven. So women live longer. They usually care for their spouses. Their spouses pass away. So they've given up a lot of care time. It's really depleting on a woman to do that care. They're not eating as well as they should. They're definitely not exercising. So they live longer, but they are in worse health in those last couple decades of life. That's why I am like doing Pilates like it is my job. I'm like, I will be strong. I will not fall. Like, and if I fall, I will be able to get back up again. Like, because I just see so many women in my family with weak bones and weak core strength and living a long time, but not physically well.
Mhm. I see that and I hear that. I mean, I hear it and I see it all the time. This is really
Hmm.
incredible. Thank you so much for sharing this. And so I wish we could just do an episode on like menopausal or postmenopausal or premenopausal wellness. I mean, that'd be even incredible of prioritizing yourself. I mean, that's part of organizing your life, correct?
Yeah, well, it is, and I try not to talk about it too much because I know it's my lived experience right now, but not everyone's. I think that the field is so evolving because I mean literally until like I don't know 10 years ago women weren't even in scientific studies. Don't even get me started. So there's so little we actually know. And then also I think about, as a teacher with kids with ADHD, there's so many ADHD medications and different tips and tricks and strategies you can use. And knowing a lot of people who have ADHD who've done pharmaceutical interventions, there are so many choices, and you have to kind of play around to figure out which one is the one for you with ADHD. The same is true with menopause. Like some people won't get hot flashes at all. Some people get frozen shoulder. Like there's so many symptoms, and there's not a lot of research that's putting it all together yet. Although I think AI is going to do it pretty quickly, which is going to be awesome. So I
Yeah.
think we're in the exploring phases of that. And that is what we should do for self-care. When my children had anything wrong with them, a hang nail, their part was not parted right on their hair, I'm like, research it, get it fixed, take them to the specialist. When we're like, yeah, I can't really walk anymore because like my hip keeps falling out, we're like, but it's okay, I just shove it in and I keep going.
Right.
Like we literally have to be laying on the floor and we can't get up before we're like, maybe I should go to the doctor. That's bad, you guys. That is bad. We
Yeah.
should at least be Googling. Ask Chat GPT if you should go to a doctor at least. Like don't put off your own health so
Mhm.
long that by the time you address it, it is an emergency. Like I said, you must take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. If you're not taking care of yourself and you keep putting it off, then by the time you address the issue, it could be a really big issue. And now you are the person that needs care.
Right. Right. Absolutely. What's the number one thing that you feel that you've noticed that people come to you to get organized with or prioritize yourself or that are, I guess, more in a need your help with?
I I think people naturally, when they think organization, they think decluttering. So they think I have too much stuff. I just want to get rid of stuff. I think that the equation of decluttering and organizing as one thing really hurts a lot of people because decluttering is easy. And if you keep decluttering when really you need to move on to organizing, you start to get rid of things that you actually want to keep because you don't know the skill of organizing. So I think the skill of organizing is rarely taught and
Hmm.
it is too synonymous with decluttering. They're two totally separate things. And the thing that I'm known for organizing is paper. Like you wrote things down, which I love because when you write things down, it moves it out of your prefrontal cortex and it encodes it deeper into your brain. And paper is so powerful.
It
And you
is.
may say, "Oh, I'm digital. I don't have a lot of paper." A lot of people listening like, "Tune out. I'm digital. I don't have a lot of paper." Well, your parents do, and their parents do. And that is coming to a house near you sometime when you
Right.
need to do that estate or that power of healthcare, whatever. So you've got to
Right.
learn how to organize paper. And also, like if you live in California, so if you're going to evacuate for a fire or not a hurricane, there would be a hurricane in the south. You can't evacuate a fire cabinet.
Right.
So I teach people to put things in binders, and then the binders are portable, so you can advocate for your kids at school or take it to a lawyer, take it to the doctor. You have the paper that you need. That's the thing that I specialize in.
And so the first is the decluttering before you can organize, where a lot of people are good at
Yes.
decluttering, but not really knowing how to organize.
Yes, and you can get really, I mean, decluttering, it's such a nice feeling. I mean,
It
when
is.
you
I
just,
love decluttering. I
oh my
love
gosh,
it.
and it's physical and kinesthetic, and like
Yeah.
you get the big bang. You're like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah. Right.
So, so organizing is more like editing the paper after you've written it, and you're like, I don't want it. Isn't it good enough? Like, can't I just a B's fine? Just give me the B. B's get degrees, okay? Like, like I don't need to get an A. But when you really take the time, you're like, okay, I decluttered my closet. I have everything out of my closet that I don't want to wear. But then when I would say organizing closet, everybody knows, organized by color, that kind of thing. When I talk about organizing, I talk about like, yes, but does your closet really match the roles and responsibilities you have right now?
Mhm.
So like I live with my grandchildren. So I have clothes I wear on the evening and when I get home from work that are you can spit up on it, you can bleed like my 4-year-old fell and I grabbed him, I put him up here and he leans back. He goes, "Oh no," because he had gotten blood on me and I just pushed him back into my chest. I'm like, "No, you can always come to grandma. You can always bleed on grandma, puke on grandma, whatever. Grandma is fine." But then I'm also a CEO and I travel and I speak. So I have those clothes as well. I have clothes to go on date with my husband. I have clothes to work out at the gym. And so I have like all these different roles that I wear as a woman, and I have outfits for all of them. I have uniforms for all of them. I've started working out more than once a week. So now I have two different outfits that I can wear to Pilates. So one can be dirty and one can be ready to go. Like, do you have enough of the clothes that you need? Not just do you have clothes that fit you and that you would wear them?
Speaking of that, do you have enough? What about people that don't have enough, or as far as like
Mm-hmm.
resources?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like I told you, when I started, I had three outfits that fit me when I was 40.
Yeah.
And I could not declutter my closet because that would mean I would have three outfits that fit me in the
Right.
closet, and no one can handle that, right? And one had a stain on it. So, like every third day, I'd wear that outfit. Obviously, people are like, "Oh, you have a stain here." I was like, "Oh, that just happened today," for like a year.
Right.
So when I was organizing people's houses, they would say to me, "Well, take all this stuff to Goodwill or resale shop," and we would split the proceeds for whatever we sold at the resale shop. And they would say, "Go through it yourself first." I never asked them, but if they said that, man, I brought the bags in and I opened them all and I tried it all on. It was like I had my own thrift shop in my house. And over that year, I slowly rebuilt my wardrobe through things that people would just give me. And then also, as I would sell those items at a resale shop, my portion of the money I just turned back to the resale shop and I would try on clothes there and I would start to buy clothes there. So by the end of the year, I had like, I don't know, 12 outfits that fit me and a couple of new jackets and a couple of cheap pairs of shoes. And so I had created a wardrobe for myself secondhand.
That's excellent.
Hmm.
Wow, how resourceful.
Yeah, and I think, people are always donating things. Like I just today, somebody at the office just put some bags in the trunk for my grandchildren. They were cleaning out their closets. And a lot of times, as we declutter, just want to get the stuff out of our homes. If we can give it to somebody who needs it, even better. I
Oh
was
yeah.
so blessed. Our kids were adopted. We have a boy and a girl. And there were parents at the kids' school. One had only a boy and one had only a girl. And they just were like, "Hey, I'm cleaning out the kids' closets. Do you want stuff?" This was when they were in younger grades. I was like, "Sure." And for like a decade, twice a year, I would just get bags dropped on my front porch for both of the kids. And I can't even tell you how much that blessed me.
Oh, I
So if
bet.
you're thinking like, I can't handle this stuff anymore. I'm so done with these toys. I'm not reselling this stuff. Find someone around you. They may not even look like they need it, but everybody can use some help, right? So and say
Everybody,
like,
oh yeah.
hey, your kids, about 18 months behind me. It looks like they're like a size smaller. I'm cleaning out the closet. Would you want to go through my hand-me-downs? And then I would always say, and then can I just donate them? And they would be like, yeah, I'm going to donate them. So just go through them and then you donate them.
I love that. Somebody's always going to need
Hmm.
something, and someone's always
Yeah.
in the need of something.
Yeah.
And also, when you give, you receive back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. I love it.
Yeah. We have enough resources in the world.
We sure do.
And so, I had this vision early on in my business. I have no idea when it'll manifest, but that there should be a place. And there are in Cincinnati, we have so many places that you can go when you're in need to get furniture, to get whatever you need. But to recycle and reuse and redistribute all of these things that we're tired of and we don't want anymore. Like there is
Yeah.
enough. In our office, we will often say, somebody's graduating from college. We all go through our kitchen. Hey, here's some extra appliances we don't need. And we start the next kid off. Like it's so great when you're in community to just ask or go in those buy nothing groups. There's always stuff in those buy nothing groups on Facebook that you might need.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thanks for
Mhm.
sharing all this.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's get into your new book coming out, Escaping
Okay.
Quicksand. Tell us about your book that's about to come out. When does it come out?
It comes out June 23rd.
Oh, that is coming up. We're looking at
Yeah, it's
a
coming up.
month and a half or so. So what made you
Yeah.
want to write a book?
So I've written many books. This is going to be my sixth book. And
Wow.
well, I'm a teacher. I've got to say, podcasting for 10 years, writing books, all that, like creating content for a teacher. I mean, it's lesson plans. It's not a big deal.
Right.
So I've written many books on getting organized, and I actually was working with a book agent, and I wrote a book, and then I didn't like it. I wrote another one. I was like, no, that's not really it. And I was like, forget it. I'm just going to self-publish it. And I was like, I'm just going to write what I want to write. And what I really wanted to write was the book that I wish I had when I turned 40. So from 40 to 50, started the company, grew the company, graduated my kids from high school, regained my life. That's the outward what you see, like how you get organized. That's what you see when you come to Organize 365 or listen to the podcast. But how do productive people actually get and stay productive? They don't know. Like it's a lot of small habits and mental mindset shifts that we make over time because you can have two people's houses that are organized and one is calm and relaxed like I am and another one is like running like a duck under the water just trying to keep all that show up, I don't have that energy. I'm just like I could talk to you all day. I have nothing else to do. Like I'm settled in who I am. How did I get that? What are
Yes.
those mental mindset shifts that I
Oh
made? And
yeah.
so I just came up with 10. Like, here's what you see on the outside, but here's what was happening mentally behind the scenes.
I love that. So in this organizing of your book, you wanted to focus in on ages 40 to 50 and basically the mindset that you have to bring you in your now 365 mindset, organized 365 mindset, and what it took
Yes,
you to get there
yes.
and what it takes you to continue to be there.
And I don't think you have to be that age, but that's how old I was when I did it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Speaking of, you don't have to be that age. You mentioned something before recording, or we were talking about the age of 40. What do
yeah.
you feel is significant about 40?
I don't know. Did you think 40 was a big birthday for you?
I did. I did,
Yeah,
and I absolutely feel. I mean, I'm
yeah.
46 now. I'm hitting the half mark. I'm almost 47, which is incredible. But I definitely have a more sense of, I guess you could say, maybe inner trust, inner knowing, inner confidence, a little bit more ease. Even though as a human
Yeah,
being, I'm still go back and forth sometimes with the go 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 mentality and having to bring myself back. And when I say bring myself back, meaning bring myself present. And so I feel that
yes.
that's been my thing that I've been working on, and that's been a little bit more easy to do as far as being present, but it's still a work, and it's a work of art, really it is. And when we realize that we all are
Yeah.
part of the same work and we're all part of the same like divine inner
Mm-hmm.
coherence, you start to really be able to blossom and let yourself be. And something that you were saying that
Yes.
really was bringing me into my, I guess, into my blooming or my own fruition is when you were talking about showing your uniqueness earlier. We're
Yes.
talking about getting organized first and then showing your uniqueness. And I feel like when I hear uniqueness, I feel the word authenticity coming through.
Yeah.
And so I also feel that a lot of people, whatever age there are, 20, 30, even 10s or 40, 50, 60, 70, if you're not living in that authenticity, you're never really going to feel what that inner uniqueness is. And it's not until you organize your life and really start to realize where you already are organized or where you need more clarity or where you can get more clarity because that's what organization does. It brings you clarity and it brings you into alignment with
Mm-hmm.
your authenticity. And so that's really what I feel has brought me as far as in my 40s, brought me closer to my authenticity, and I'm excited to see where the 50s are going to take me.
Yeah. So again, not scientific yet. And I don't even, this is my problem now. I'm going to have the PhD. I'm going to be able to do research, but I'm like, I don't even know how you would start to tackle this. But this is what I have in my mind. Okay. I think that we go through seasons of life. Like decades are definitely like milestone birthdays are definitely part of developmental, whatever this thing is that maybe I'll do, or somebody else will listen to this and they'll do it for me. So 40 is definitely a milestone. 50 is a milestone. 50 is the average age that you become a grandparent, and 50 is also the average age for menopause. So 50 is definitely a milestone, especially for women. I think that, all of those decades are definitely a milestone. But also, one of my earlier books, The Mindset of Organization, I noticed as I was organizing homes in Cincinnati, the way that a 20-year-old couple and 30s or 40s-year-old family or a widow would use the same exact space was different. And the way they looked at items was different based on their um, generation that they were. Like baby boomers have more attachment to physical things. Millennials have more attachment to experiences. That's pretty much common in the folklore of how people look at things. And so I would be a translator, and I would say to the millennial, I know you think it's just junk, but I mean, your parents had to like stand in line in the rain for 12 hours to get this piece of junk that they've been storing in their attic that they thought would be worth $1 billion right now that is worth two. So if you could have a little respect for how much time it took them to get this Beanie Baby collection for you or this Cabbage Patch doll. And then I say to the baby boomers, I would say, okay, this is great. If you collected all this junk in your attic and you think they want to move it to their house, they do not want to move it to their house at all. But what would be great is if we could have a day and you could share how hard it was for you to get this and why you bought it, and you guys could laugh and you could have a memory. And that is an experience for the millennial. And then the millennial can move the junk out to wherever it's going to go or donate it or whatever you're going to do with it and have that experience together, as opposed to, why are you giving me all this stuff? I don't want all this stuff. Or why don't you respect how much that I've given to you? Blah, 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 blah. And so that translation. So now I'm going to go back to the 40-year-old birthday.
Okay.
This is why I think it might be hard to do phases of life for adults, developmental phases like you could do for children, because our ethnicity relates to our phases of life. A quinceanera is going to be really important in a Spanish tradition, but
Right.
not, in a Caucasian one. So you've got the ethnicity, where you live in the world, where you live in the United States. Your socioeconomic is going to play a factor. If you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're working, if you're a man, if you're a woman, you're going to have a lot of these things that come into play. And when you say, and the reason why I say that is because when you say authenticity, so Gen Z is such an authentic generation. They just appear to me, the ones that I know, they already understand their authenticity. They already understand their uniqueness. I remember my husband saying a bajillion times, don't let the kids do that. They're going to get beat up. And I was like, I'm telling you, Greg, they don't beat up they don't beat up each other. Like they don't have there aren't the bullies. They accept each other and they respect each other.
Yeah.
And I was presenting to a class at a university about launch. I have this program where I help you launch from childhood into adulthood with all the organizational skills that you need. And so I walked through the workbook with the college class, and I got to the section on food. We already discussed how bad I am at food, correct? Okay. So in my program, I say, I don't care about your carbs or your sugar. All I care is that you have 2 choices for breakfast, 4 choices for lunch, and 6 choices for dinner, so you know how to grocery shop. And we're going to do proteins, fruits, and vegetables. You'll take care of the rest on your own. I have no doubt. And so I said to the class, how many of you have food allergies, food sensitivities? And then I said, how many of you had food preferences? And every single person raised their hand. And I was like, what is this? So we got in the car and we left, and I had my son with me. I was like, do you have food preferences? He goes, oh, yeah, mom. And I was like, everyone in that room has food preferences? He was like, duh. And I was like, we eat whatever our parents put on the plate. Like, I'm Gen X. We didn't have a choice. And then you sat there until the meal was done. Like, there was no, like, I think I'm full, my carbs or whatever. No, you ate exactly what you had until you left. And so I think we have to add in that layer of, your generation. This Gen Z seems to be really authentic, really in tune with themselves, really individualized in how they are moving throughout the world. It's really beautiful to watch. Interesting to get them to work and figure out how to plug into the workosphere, But AI is taking care of that. So I guess it's all gonna, I don't know. I don't know how it's all gonna meter out, but I do notice that that's different. Back to your point. At 40, I think those of us who are Gen X and millennial are saying, okay, when is the time for me? I don't know as this was as prevalent for baby boomers because the way that they parented and were expected to parent was different than the way that we are parenting and are expected to parent. We are expected to put our children above all. My parents did not put me above all. I was to be seen and not heard. I was to go entertain myself. I was to go figure it out. And if I wanted to do an extracurricular activity, I was to find my way there and back. And I lived in the country. So I just didn't do extracurricular activities. Like it was a totally different world. So I know that women came of age and women had a lot of the feelings I had at 40. I don't know that they experienced it the same way. That's a really long answer.
Yeah, but it's an incredible, fascinating answer. I never, ever would have thought prior to talking to you that people, depending on their generation, organize things differently. And it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. And obviously, all the other
Mhm.
factors, the multicultural factors that you sprinkled in there is obvious. I mean, it's almost common sense as you say it, but I wasn't prior to you even saying that because I never even thought about that. And it's also beautiful the way that you were talking about bringing both generations together if you were to live together and even just commingling and sharing a
Yeah.
little piece of history, how that can actually bring fruitfulness and beauty into the relationship of two different or three
Mhm.
different generations living together. That's really
Mhm.
incredible. And I mean, thanks so much for sharing that.
Well, and I think that's because we usually have a sample size of one. We have the house that we live in, okay, two, the house that we grew up in, and then any family or friends that we've actually been in that house, not at a party. You've been in that house, and it's not while a party is going on. And you could kind of see how that household actually functions. You don't have a lot of households you've been in. I've been in a lot of households, so I have more
Yes.
households that I can think of, even all the way back to babysitting. When I did preschool, we did home visits. So I would visit all of these kids that lived in impoverished conditions. When I did in-home organizing, I was organizing a lot of people that had a lot of money. And so I've been in a lot of different households, a lot of different generations. And then through my study with my PhD, studying how different ethnicities experience housework, division of labor between men and women differently.
That's amazing.
So this
Something
is
else
a hard problem to solve because most people
it
don't have
is.
a big enough, they're not seeing, they're only thinking about their household.
Right. And then the generation's rapidly changing because of technology, and you're bringing
Yeah.
in this brand
Yeah.
new, ever evolving, fast evolving generation into an older type generation. And it's like, how do we understand
Oh,
each other,
that
organize things, and prioritize one another?
that
Um,
is so that is going to be I used to think the paper tsunami was going to be the problem, which it is for the younger generation, but you guys will get that
yes.
figured out and that'll only take you a couple months. The amount of change in technology and the speed of it is really going to hurt people who are older very, very quickly. And I don't think we've really thought about it. So,
Mm-mm.
like when COVID happened and older people could get their vaccines first, the problem was they didn't know how to get in the app to get their vaccine. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
So then they had to figure out how to get them to get in the app to get the vaccine to get in line so that they could get it. Um, and now, like my mother-in-law fell and broke her back, and my husband and I were taking care of her. And you think, oh, we need to know all the passwords for all these accounts. No, you don't.
Yeah, there's no
They're not
password.
set
There's
up.
not
There are
all
no
those
passwords. There
accounts.
are no accounts.
There are no
There is no
accounts. Yeah.
computer. There's no computer. So I bought her this Tavala oven, which will cook your meals for you, which is great. You have to connect it to the internet. She has no computer. She doesn't know the code to her phone, so we can't download the app. So we can't get the oven to work. I'm like, oh, geez, everything needs a passcode. Everything needs a
Yes.
something. It's just moving so fast, it's hard for me to keep up with. And I'm only 54. And
Hmm.
that may seem really old to some people who are listening, but it's not really old if you're going to live to be 100.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, how am I going to keep up? I'm just like, fine, read my face, take my eye scan. I don't care. Unlock the Instagram app so I can scroll it, please.
You know what? Take my eye scan. That's hilarious. Um, Going back to generational like organization, organizing things through generations, I'm wondering what Gen Z is gonna end up organizing their homes when they're in their 40 and above. I
Mm.
wonder what that's gonna look like for them, what type of how they're gonna raise their families. That's what's really interesting for me to think about.
It is interesting. The Gen Z that I know, the few that I know or and of people's kids, they really prioritize experiences like millennials do. and they are a lot on tech. So they don't have a lot of physical things. Also, they can't really afford physical things. There's
True.
that.
Right. Right.
You know, it's just physical things aren't that cheap and there's not a lot of money and everything's so expensive. So,
Right.
yeah.
It's really fascinating, actually.
Hmm.
So tell us something quick that you can tell us. Oh, wait, something quick. Because I was looking at escaping quicksand, and so I wanted to
Yeah.
know actually, how did you come up with that title?
Oh, yes. Okay, so you could tell that I kind of visualize things a lot, or I have pictures come to me. So as I was writing this book and I was thinking about this 40th birthday and what was it that I was really experiencing, I pictured the 7 years up to my 40th birthday as sliding down into the pit of despair. But what happens is you think you're going to hit rock bottom, but you don't. You hit quicksand, and now you're sinking deeper and deeper. And I think we all get to that point in our life where we're like, we've said yes to too many things and we don't know how to say no. We don't know how to get out of it. And now, like, every time we struggle, we feel like we're sinking deeper and deeper. And at some points, we think that our life just might swallow us whole. And that's how I felt when I was turning 40. We were out of money, we were out of all kinds of things. And I just wanted somebody to save me. I wanted somebody to reach down and pull me out of the quicksand and save me. But in my mind, when I looked around at all my friends who were also 40, they were up to their neck in quicksand.
Hmm.
So we couldn't save each other because we were all stuck in the same quicksand. The only way to get out was to pull ourselves out. And I just started working out at 52. So I couldn't pull myself out of anything at 40. Like I didn't have arm muscles. So I had to grow the arm muscles. Then I had to pull myself out. Then I had to, clean up my house. And like it is a decade of really saying, okay, is when you really start hashtag adulting. Like obviously you've been an adult for 18 years at that point, according to the law. But it's
Right.
when you really go, oh, I have to be power of healthcare for my parents. Oh, I have to still pay for this mortgage that I signed up for when I was 25. Oh, like some of those things really catch up to you in your 40s. You're like, okay, I got to start saying no to some things. I got to start reorganizing things. I can't keep putting myself on the back burner this long. I've got to like at least pull myself forward in some areas of my life and really rewriting that script of your next, 40, 50, 60 years.
That's amazing. Rewriting the script of the next 40, 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
That sounds intense, right?
Yeah. And empowering.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
empowering. Especially because
Yeah.
there's a different mindset that we didn't have before. So we didn't, you're
Right.
obviously just born and it's like you just kind of just go with it. But now we can actually be
Yeah.
intentional and create more or be more aware of our creation.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Great. Well, hey, I've got a poem to share.
I'm so excited. I have been waiting for this. I'm like, oh, I hope you give me a poem. I cannot wait to hear the poem.
Okay, here it goes. And this is dedicated to this. And this is really brought about feeling the energy of prioritizing yourself and kind of what it takes somebody before we actually are able to get up and prioritize ourselves, whatever that means to the listeners, the watchers, and our viewers. But here it goes. Although we've heard you can't teach an old dog new tricks, these beliefs ingrained weigh like a ton of bricks. But when flexibility is accepted, there's no room for self rejection. For it's in the moments of challenges, for it's in the moments of tears and heartache, that change is occurring, a new type of break. And in this break, where the stillness grows, is where you'll find that even a storm can show that the sun will shine again and again and again, and even through sleet and snow. In the end, you'll discover the secret was already known. We were here to thrive, not just to survive. And that's
I
it.
love it. So cool that you do that. It's such a gift.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your gift with our audiences in the world. Tell us about your podcast.
So the podcast is called Organize 365. And I'm on Instagram at Organize 365. And the website is organize365.com. Everything's Organize 365.
I'm just gonna, when we're done with this, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna start decluttering some stuff and and
What
reorganize.
is so funny, people say that they're like, I just turn on the podcast and I was just sitting on the couch and the next thing you know, I'm organized. They're like, you're like, they hear my voice and they're like, I must declutter something.
Yeah, right. How incredible. Also,
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to leave off when you were talking about the decluttering, the one thing that I
Hmm.
love to do is dust as well. I feel like when I'm dusting and cleaning while decluttering, I really am able to end my day with just really feeling like I've released a lot of the old, and then that allows for a lot of the new to come in.
I love it. I love it.
Is there anything that you'd like to leave the world with? Well, you know what? How about this question? How do you want the world to
Okay.
remember you?
Oh, wow. I don't think I want the world to remember me. I want the world to remember the things that they were able to accomplish because they had the time to do them because they got organized. So I
Yeah.
want people to remember their uniqueness and finding time to do their uniqueness because we're not going to do what we need to do. We're going to do our housework. We're going to take care of others. We are going to be good boys and girls. But you need to carve out some time for you and the uniqueness of you because the world needs us to press into our uniqueness. That is what is going to make us better as a collective.
Press into your uniqueness so we can be better as a collective. Absolutely
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Everybody, Lisa Woodruff here on a Little Less Fear podcast. Make sure you visit her website at www.organize365.com. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Lisa. Such a pleasure connecting with you. Looking forward to keeping in touch with you.
Thank you.
1, 2, y 1, 2, 3 y...